Dragon carcasses are used in all sorts of crafts, including alchemy and coin making, but there aren't many dragon hunters around. Interesting backstory there. Yeah, so welcome back to Boring Dead Gaming, where today we're going to be playing some more Roadwarden. We're going to dive straight into our save. We've woken up in Gale Rocks, and let's have a little think about what we want to do today. So if we click on travel, and have a look at the map. We could head north from here. I'd probably hit the coast fairly quickly, I would think. We're pretty healthy. We could go to the old tunnel and we could try and kill those undead that have been... I'm not quite sure. Are they blocking our way to something else? Or is it just a shortcut to Gale Rocks? I'm not entirely sure, but it might be worth doing that. Other things we want to achieve... well, we want to reach the Enchantress, which I think is probably down this way, somewhere on this road here, I think, anyway. At some point we want to go through the centre and do the woods. I don't think we're quite prepared enough for that yet. So tell you what, let's eat something. We'll eat our roast chicken. Increase nourishment by 3. Great, we'll be full having eaten that. It seems to be Glaucia's necklace, judging by what the jeweller here told us. I'm not really looking to speak to the soldiers or smokers, so let's go. I'm tempted to go to this old tunnel. Let's do that next. The winds hit you at full strength. You adjust your cloak as the twisting tree branches fight for survival. Into the tunnel. Right, so I want to go as deep as I can. Here we could put the monster claws to a branch, construct a whip trap. You could hide the bent branch behind one of the supporting beams, though it won't be easy to camouflage the triggering cord in darkness. You need to be careful, but thanks to the tools you found, it will take less than an hour. You have enough claws, cords, and wood to build 2 whip traps in the entire tunnel. Let's do it. Let's go to the cave with the stalactites. I already set a trap here. Let's go to the dining room. I would quite like to put a trap here. Deadfall trap. You could hang the load of wooden planks and beams right above the entrance and make it collapse with the pull of a rope. You can't be sure if such moist wood will be effective at hurting anything. Even with the tools you found, it's going to take more than an hour. We have enough to build 2. Okay, let's do it. Got a bit dirty doing that. You put the triggering cord away from your usual path to avoid stumbling over it. Okay, so... it's taking quite a lot of time. Let's go to the main tunnel. Can I do a trap here? I can. What trap can we do here? Do another whip trap. Okay. And let's do it. And I think... I'm going to quick save. I think that might be enough. So, we're going to go north. Your slow pace only makes the long tunnel more exhausting. I cut my hands around my mouth and let out a shout. You take a deep breath. Hey you! Come and get me! Here we go. The creatures don't scream or wail, and neither make threatening gestures nor cast angry glances. You hear only the rattle of their bones as they hit against the rocky floor. The empty eye sockets of the naked skulls reveal nothing. The 4 skeletons wear a few rags, and 2 of them still have scraps of flesh on their limbs. Their weapons are unconvincing, simple digging tools and spears tipped with rocks. But you notice the speed and confidence of their movement. The one in the back is holding a wooden lantern, while another one is carrying a fresh torch. The group doesn't pay much attention to their steps. I think we want to let all the traps do their work before we try and attack them. So let's run to the door behind me. You jump over the cord stretched above the floor, but after one of the undead triggers it gets hit only with the tip of the branch, not too forcefully. You glance behind, and while the creature needs to get back on its feet, it's still going. Right, let's go to the chamber with the stalactites. You jump over the foothold traps awkwardly, but the undead don't realise what's happening. After one of them sinks into the hollowed plank, the others come to a halt, helping it get out. It's your opportunity to act. Okay, what can we do with our spell? It can't dodge my spell now. Wallop. You reach for the willow wand and dash forward, casting the pneuma with a single swipe. It feels like stabbing the air with a wooden dagger. The invisible wave doesn't spare the revealed bones. The undead leans away for a few moments, and after it straightens up again, it lacks its ribs. Alright, let's run to the dining chamber. You pull the cord and drop the beams and boards on an undead skull. The wet timber causes little more than a stagger, but gives you a few moments to react. I don't have enough pneuma. Alright, there's another whip trap waiting for them, so let's leave the chamber. You lead the undead to the short corridor. The door has no lock. You can't keep them away, but they have to enter one at a time. Okay, use the opportunity to strike the closest one, then move back. Okay, let's do that. You manage to surprise it with your fierce attack, cutting off its arm with a confident thrust. Then step away, unable to swing your blade in such a limited space. The loose bones of the first undead scatter over the floor. Keep running. You jump over the triggering cord. The undead doesn't even notice its presence. A powerful hit in the chest sends it back and you hear a loud crack. Only 2 undead leave the corridor. I've run out of traps, so I'll have to face them. Okay, well, we've lost quite a bit of armour. Both you and the skeletons have the time to take a proper stance, filling the chambers with the thuds of your boots and bones. With or without flesh, your target blocks and dodges, making you fight as if you're facing a human, not a bloodthirsty beast. While you swing your axe with strength, cutting through the bones isn't easy, especially when the enemy parries with its own tools. At one point you have to take a few leaps back, disorientated by the rattling and darkness. During the clash you take a few hits, but you end up surrounded with crushed and detached bones, gasping for air, yet victorious. Your gambazon stopped any cut it took, protecting your flesh. Okay, well we know we can repair that, so that's alright. I'll decide what to do with the corpses after I leave the tunnel. The path forward is blocked. Alright, well let's go deep into the tunnel as I can. I follow the long tunnel north. Tunnel is quiet and dry. Let's enter the dark chamber ahead. While the chamber is in shambles, you recognise its unusual furniture. The sharpened stakes, shield-like tables for crossbow users, empty spear racks. If necessary, it could be the last line of defence for guards and diggers, surrounding any beast or a bandit determined enough to reach this end of the tunnel. You're in front of a massive double-leaf gate, taller than 2 humans made of bronze. You're not sure if a single shell can even move it. Alright, let's search the room. While there's plenty of furniture to look under or push aside, the undead left little to no signs of their presence, as if they were idly standing for years. A small pile of candles and another much larger. One of the candle stumps don't explain why the walking corpses would use light. I don't really follow that. You grab a few of the candles for later, that's fine. Let's look at the gate. It's made of sheets held by thick bars. The pictures impressed on the surface portray fishers and their catch. Sea monsters covered with nets, falling harpies and working diggers. While it's doubtful it's made of a material worthy of turning into blades, it's priceless. You look through the keyhole, observing the continuing path and the clear sky with ease, despite the cobwebs. You take a deep breath of fresh air, and then put 4 fingers inside. I open the gate with a huge key. Easier said than done. The rotating key alone makes you hold your breath, and as you work at pushing the leaves open, you puff and blow, taking breaks. After it's done, you wipe your sweaty forehead, giving a proud look at the light that has now entered the chamber. Okay, can we not go forward? Go back to Roach, I guess. Roach snorts from boredom and then paws the ground. Okay, well it might be the right time to take care of the corpses then, let's do that. Picking up the bones won't take you much time, but the funeral traditions are rather demanding. You'd need to chop and gather enough wood to form a big pile somewhere down the hill. Of course, the orthodox approach is not the only one possible. 3 hours to make a pyre. We've got 4.5 till dusk, and I think it's an hour till Gale Rocks, so we should be able to manage that. Yeah, let's do a proper pyre. Oh, filthy now. After spending a few more minutes in the darkness, you bring the 3 sacks filled with human remains to a small, regrowing clearing. You put on gloves, prepare some tools, and collect wood from the thicket in the tunnel, crudely splitting branches and logs. Covered with sweat, soil, and the scent of smoke, you observe their head-high flames. The bones are sticking out of the wood like hedgehogs' quills and crack from the heat loudly. I should wash my hands. Roach welcomes you with a nicker. Well, I don't think I missed anything in the tunnel, but we're going to need to travel, and we can only really reach... I mean, we could reach Foggy Lake. But let's go back to Gale Rocks. Okay, well, this is slightly different, so let's read this. The fishers have returned to the village, but the work is still far from being over. You see lights and smoke coming from the eastern part of the village, where the fish are being gutted and prepared for smoking. The guards instruct you not to disturb anyone after dusk and tell you should visit Fulvia, who may have a room to spare. Some of the locals slow down to observe you, and when you meet their eyes, you find a few smiles. Ah, they're getting used to us. You go to bed, I think. I mean, we could go to the tailor. Once you enter the dark cave room, Rufina welcomes you with a nod. Is everything fine? What can you do for me? Can you repair my jacket? Okay, well, she's closing her shop. Maybe we'll visit her again tomorrow. Let's just sleep for now then. I don't need to heal. Would be good to recharge my pneuma though. Oh, it's 2 to rent. Alright, we're going to need to get paid at some point for something. Not sure what. You notice it while you undress. One of your recent wounds is going to leave a mark. Okay, so we can say where this cut is. It could be on our cheek, our hand, our leg, stomach, or just keep it clean. I think let's have a nice scar on our cheek just to show people that we mean business. I first notice it by touch, then see it in the reflection on my blade, a long cut on my cheek. Yeah, look a bit weathered. Okay, this is pretty much the standard text when we wake up here. What have we got in the way of food? I think we've got quite a lot of rations. Well, okay, we've got 4 rations. I think we'll eat one of those. I wouldn't mind spending another dragon bone to just get our armor a bit better. Let's pay 1 for that. Don't want to wait 2 hours for her to repair our stuff, our clothes. I think got 3 out of 5 on our pneuma. Didn't quite didn't recharge as much as I'd hoped. Okay. I want to visit Severina. She might reward us for clearing the tunnel. You ascend the hill. The guard stands up and puts his woodwork on his pillow and asks you to wait. You hear his and the headwoman's voices coming from the hall, and once the man returns, he nods gently. You're asked to enter. I follow him inside. Severina puts away her writing instruments, glances at you, then frowns. The closer you get, the more annoyed she seems to be, but she says nothing. I put the gate key on her desk. The undead from your tunnel are gone. As she drags the key over the desk, it looks comically large in her tiny hand. I can't remember her voice. Now, would you look at that? She says to no one in particular, then looks you in the eyes. You faced this threat for no good reason. I already told you I wasn't planning to work on the tunnel. She scratches the desk with the key, thinking, but I ain't going to deny that it opens some opportunities. My neighbours are going to appreciate your selfless efforts. She tries to push the key into the nearby bags, but is suddenly interrupted by the voice of the perfumed guard, who speaks directly to you. I used to be the head of the garrison that kept the tunnel safe. He steps towards you. Till it was left to itself 10 years ago against my advice. I don't care if you're a Roadwarden, an adventurer or a drifter, you deserve a reward. And if our headwoman ain't willing to reward your contribution... He reaches for the belt that holds his sickle sword, and Severina, with unmasked frustration, tells him to hold it. Don't get so dramatic. Here. She tosses a small pouch and it lands at the edge of the desk. 10 should be enough, considering you weren't asked to move as much as a finger. Scat and talk to Yuno, our digger. She'll have some grand plans coming to her soul. Maybe you'll manage to keep them on a leash. I'll talk with her. 10 gold. Very nice. Alright, so we'll go and talk to Yuno, the digger. I don't know if it's Luno or Ayuno. I'm just going to say Ayuno because I think a capital L would look a bit different. She's holding tiny houses from her wooden blocks, connecting their roofs with bridge-like leather strips. Cheers, outsider! The tunnel in the south is open again. The undead are gone. As Ayuno shakes the table, her toilet structures fall apart. Merely like that? You cleared them awoken on your own? After you nod, she looks at your axe, then at her toys. Ooh, better tell our head woman about it, and I'll talk with the others. We can move to some serious work in spring, but it would be better for us to do the groundwork before snow falls. As she shovels the wooden blocks and moves them into a single row, she says, and if the tunnel is somewhat safe, could you take a closer look at it, inspect the chambers? Report to me, and I'll ask one of my neighbours to give you an easier time. Even though she seems to put no thought into it, the blocks are now ordered from the brightest to the darkest. Yeah, let's have a look at our journal as regards this tunnel quest. What does this spirit rock say? Oh, this even says here, Photios, a fisher from Gale Rocks, has asked me to travel to the Enchantress and ask her for a spirit rock. There we go. So that's where we're going to get the spirit rocks from. There's no particular quest here to do the tunnel, but it does say that I can go there and check it out a bit more. I thought I had checked it out pretty thoroughly. Anyway, let's just go back there now. Have another little poke around. I'm pretty sure I explored every chamber, but it does say maybe I missed something in the tunnel, so let's have a little look. Let's just move forward. I kind of want to go into these side chambers. Head back to the crossroads. I go into the sleeping chamber. That's this one. I leave the chamber. There's nothing else to do there. I go to the animal pen. I go back to the large skeleton. I leave. Nothing to do there. Leave the chamber. Let's move forward. Examine the tunnel. You spend a few minutes walking back and forth. Here the wooden support is denser, with more beams on both on the walls and on the ceiling. The trash, on the other hand, is sparse, and you find nothing of use. The animal trail turns back to the entrance, with the exception of the human-like bony prints. Ooh. Okay, we'll head to the stream. I move deeper into the tunnel. I take a close look at the cave-in, perhaps. You push away a few rocks, making them roll on the floor, but the blockade is at least a few steps deep. It would take an entire team of diggers to get through, if that's possible at all. Step away. Into the dining chamber. I go back to the armory. Go to the tiny room. Leave the room. Leave the room. Head to the chamber with stalactites. Into the main tunnel. Head towards the cave-in, enter the storeroom, walk outside, return to the crossroads, go north, head to the bronze gate, return to the tunnel. There's nothing here, so I think, here we go, I think it must have been looking more closely at that cave-in. Roach is looking around, but so far no other beasts have shown up. Okay, well let's travel quickly back to Gale Rocks then. And we'll talk to Euno, the digger. I've explored all of the tunnel. After your initial report, Euno comes up with one question after another. While some of them are specific and significant, others are absurdly simple, as if she's making sure you're not lying to her. You don't know all of the answers, but in the end she smiles at you, clapping her hands without a sound. With that we can gather timber, rocks and tools, and I already know which ones will be just perfect. Cheers, Roadwarden. If you want, I can ask one of my neighbours to repay your hard work, and not just once. Ooh, let's think. Ooh. Oh, we could get free food, but it's not too difficult to get food. Need a free room where I could spend the night, so I can stay here for free if I want. 5 free repairs of the Gambazon, that's worth 5 dragon bones to us, or maybe some free baths and laundry, because we are quite filthy. I'm going to do that one. Right, she starts to build a wall from the wooden blocks. I'll speak with Aquila, the bathman. Farewell. Let's go to Aquila, because we are absolutely filthy at the moment. You find him while he's collecting empty buckets around the village, ready to carry them to his regular spot at the bridge. What is it, outsider? Got dirty? Tell him about your services. Pay 0. We get 3 free segments. Very nice. Right, step away. So, I think we're temporarily done at Gale Rocks, it looks like. I'm pleased that we got some more money. We're going to travel... Let's head north. I have no idea what's up here. The roars of the sea reach you first, then the cold wind and the light. There are hardly any shrubs nearby, and as you ride downhill towards the white and gold beach, the sunbeams hit you with full force. There's no doubt where the name of Gale Rocks comes from. The stones piercing through the surface of the water are shaped like beast fangs, as if they're asking the ships to dare and test their strength. Where it's possible, I keep to the greener parts of the beach. Sand is awful for hooves. Oh, what's this? You follow the sharp turn to the right. The road remains broad enough for carts and wagons, and avoids the sands, letting Roach trot without disturbances. The grasses to the east and south are short, and hardly any shrubs have managed to oppose the harsh winds. The human activity you witness is intense. A large barge is resting on the river, immobilised by the ropes and wooden posts. And you see a few people foraging at the beach and in the grasses. Even more people, most of them without wrinkles, are gathered at the pier, where they prepare their boats and nets, and talk about their plans for the following hours. You reach the end of the beaten path, getting to the stone-made pier, just next to a small dolmen-shaped shed. Only the door seems to be fairly new, and you don't doubt that both of the structures have been repaired many times in the past, crumbling under the touch of the waves. Let's head to the fishers. Photios inspects the equipment and discusses future plans with the workers on the coast. Do you need any help with the fishing? Okay, so we can secure the coast. It's gonna maybe cost us health, maybe cost us cleanliness. We don't need it. We're doing okay for coins just at the moment. As we're here, is Cassia working with you often? His eyes narrow. Used to. No, I used to know. No, I don't. Oh, I used to work. I think he's saying, do you work with her? I used to. Now I don't. There were a few times she told me she was asked to go guard the gate, but then it turned out she told the guards back home that I asked her for help. She was merely idling about like a child. Fishers don't need someone like this round here. See you later. Okay, so we'll leave there. We've kind of reached a dead end on the northern shore now. What can we do? What can we do? We could... How much time do we have before dusk, actually? 10 hours. What I'm thinking we could do is head back to the Pelt of the North and tell the guard that Cassia is not going to be a very good hunter. But the one who was... I forget where he was. It might have just been Howler's Dell. Seemed better. You know, he does traps. He's not much of a fighter, but he seems like a good guy. So let's go down to, and then on the next day we're gonna go east from this dolmen and maybe sort of loop round and do an Enchantress and stuff on the eastern side of the peninsula. But let's head back to the Pelt of the North for now. The guard welcomes you with a nod. As you ride in, the other hunters are by the well arguing with each other. At this hour, the armourer's workshop is closed. Okay, let's approach the guards. The guards greet you enthusiastically by calling you by name. A few of them join Dallas and the boar to gossip with you for a few minutes. About the hunters you wanted me to recruit. Here's what I heard about Cassia. It sounds like no matter her talents or the lack thereof, she's got a harpy of an attitude. She summarises your tale and tries to push aside the hair on her forehead. Maybe better to spare ourselves the trouble after all. So whom are you going to hire? I've got 5 coins for that. She attempts to move her hair behind her shoulders. I guess Erastos ain't hopeless. And as long as he's going to focus on the traps, maybe he won't ruin any hunts. We'll go to Howler's before winter and speak with him ourselves. She prepares her pouch and counts down 5 rings. Thanks, Sir Boring. So actually, in terms of the money, how much have we got? We've got 21 coins, which isn't bad at all. A little time before dusk. Hey, maybe we just rest. We could try and win more. We'd maybe lose 1 coin. We might gain 3. So let's have a little dice game. Surely, but we're doing it the right way. All 10 rounds, so it's going to take us half an hour or so. 4 players, each one bets a coin. Winner takes all. Still in? I'm ready when you are. We lost a coin this time. Time goes by, filled with light-hearted jokes and chit-chat. After a long series of bad rolls, you finish with 2 points, the second lowest score. You put a dragon bone in front of Dalet, whose comically exaggerated thanks are met with laughter. After the table and the chairs are moved back into the building, she asks you if you need anything. I walk away. Saltily. So, okay, we'll enter the inn. We could just sleep, we could go to the innkeeper. Foggy does have a message for him. That's a good point. Let's tell him the message. The innkeeper listens to Foggy's words patiently, then crosses his arms and leans back, lost in his thoughts. Seems like she won't be played so easily. After you mention the answer, he tells you to relax. You'll have it in soon. See, I've lost her fair share. The Asterion was meant to deliver it to her. Never happened. I don't want to waste more, but she doesn't need to know it. He raises a bowl that sits nearby and reveals a few dragon bones. He counts off 5 of them. Tell her this. Asterion lost your coin. I'm now in debt. Let's be partners for now. I'll send you more once I have it, but I don't promise anything. He pushes the coins towards you, observing them like a hawk. They're yours. Just help me keep the charade going now and later. It's important to me. I take the coins. I'll cover for you, sure. He smiles. Good. Channel updated. Check on Lesson. Okay, well that was just now, wasn't it? About Klaus's band, have I learned anything? No. Do I have anything he'd like to buy? He could buy a winged hourglass for 2 coins. Now I'll keep it for that. I can see his wares. We can invest in an elk fur, perhaps maybe sell it for more at a later date. Oh, the crossbow costs so much, 30. Let's buy 3 rations for a coin. That seems fair. I'm not going to spend on the elk fur. I think I kind of need my day-to-day monies. Any leftovers? Not today. Maybe tomorrow. Okay, well it's only an hour before dusk. Let's sleep. I think we can afford the rent. We don't need to gain vitality, but it'd be nice to gain the pneuma. Maybe fill ourselves up there, and we'll also get a nice clean in the morning for a coin. I think that's fair. The shivers wake you up. You hear the hunters leaving the building. You look through the window, but the fog is so dense you hardly see the wall around you. Still, they're being patrolled by the night shift, which places torches and carries lanterns. I allow the fog to touch my shell and fill it with pneuma. Yeah, I want the pneuma. I want it. And we got filled up. Good. The small room is quiet and far away from unwanted eyes. You take a calm bath, rest on a soft mattress, look through the window and enjoy the minutes of safety. In the morning you find a stool with a large wooden plate bearing an aromatic breakfast, a pie with hare and cabbage, a bowl of plums and grapes, and a cup of mouflon milk. Downstairs the innkeeper is putting firewood into the stove. He asks you if you need anything. I don't. Let's go outside, and we're going to travel east. Now this is the more dangerous road, we've been told. All this stuff we've done up until now. And we've explored the west and the north pretty extensively at this point. Everything else is going to be a lot more dangerous. We've done the safe parts, so let's find out what happens when we go east. The neglected... That's fighting music. The neglected path barely finds any space among all the hills, trees and streams. There's a deer on the ground, lying in a red puddle, surrounded by a pack of creatures which notice your presence quickly. There's about 8 of them with thick furs in shades of brown, grey and black, and hairless faces with small eyes and large mouths, currently stained by the blood of their prey. Some of them move on all 4s, while others comfortably stand on 2 feet. They are 2 to 3 heads shorter than you, but it's your mount which truly towers over them, and you see how a couple of the beasts take a few steps back, grunting at one another. The one with grey fur shouts, and the others move towards the rocks and sticks which are piled on the roads. They hold them awkwardly, and some struggle to maintain a straight posture, leaning on their new weapons for support. Then, almost all of them spread to your left and right, blending with the shrubs loudly. Only 2 of the apes are standing still. I mean, if we turn back, one option might be to get the hunters from the Pelt of the North and come and deal with them. Or we could try and race through. They don't seem particularly well equipped. Roach tries to turn around, but loyally follows your directions. So, what can we do? We could charge at the goblins in the middle of the road? try to scare them away. We could reach for our shield, or the jar with troll urine. Throw some food. Look behind. I think I'm going to try and scare them away. It's a dice roll, so there's obviously a chance of success and a chance of failure, so let's see what happens. Ooh, this doesn't look good. You do your best, raising your voice in a fierce shout and showing that you're ready to take them down. The grey goblin seems unmoved, showing you its long tusks and swinging its arms, and its younger companion looks around, grunting, but then stays in place. The grey one then focuses its attention on you, or rather something that's just behind you. Then you get stabbed in the back, literally. You turn around, seeing a goblin that, as far as you can tell, was not a part of the group surrounding the carcass. He's holding a wooden spear, or rather a pointed stick longer than the creature is tall. Your armour was able to reduce the impact, but you can feel the pain from the hit, and you can tell that the linen was torn. You'll need to find someone able to fix it. I wonder how many of them are still hiding among the trees. Okay, I feel like I'm making wrong decisions here. I can't win and I can't run away. I rush Roach forward. Your mount speeds up, though it doesn't have enough space to enter a gallop. You prepare your weapon, but while you feel somewhat comfortable with the blade when on foot, fighting from a saddle is completely unfamiliar to you. The younger goblin attempts to stop your horse, but the strike it receives sends it into a nearby bush, screaming in pain. The grey one, however, manages to grab your boot and is now trying to keep up with your speed, making one long leap after another. The first strong swing of your axe wasn't able to reach the target. A spear would be better in this scenario. Okay, we can cast a spell. So these are all dice rolls. We can try and hit it with magic at a cost of 2 pneuma. We have 5, that's fine. I aim for the head, I kick it off, or I ride faster. Well, I mean, we're a mage. We're going to try and hit it with magic, I think. You unwrap the linen sheet and grab the willow wand, still as smooth as on the day you bought it. The pointy carved twig is thin, but heavy from the injected quicksilver. You raise it as if you're about to stab the air with a dagger, then make a swipe. The invisible wave strikes the creature in the middle of its leap, making it let go of your boot. It rolls over the road and your mount runs faster. Your leg is free. The road is clear. We ride as fast as we can. For a few more moments you hear the angry shouts and screeches, but soon after that it's again only you and your mount. Whew, time to see what we're going to find down the road. I mean, I felt like we came out of that not too badly. Still got all our health. We lost a little bit of armour, a little bit of pneuma to get rid of the grey goblin, but otherwise not too bad. A round pine tree blocks the road. For a wayfarer, walking over the thin branches at the top is not much of an issue. Even Roach, led on a rope, could walk around the stump, but a large wagon couldn't move onward in one piece, at least not without detaching the mules, unpacking all the wares and moving everything by hand. Cutting a tree into pieces would take hours, even with proper tools, and you can't hope to move it with just the muscles that you and your mount have to offer. We could look around. What do you want to investigate? Let's have a look at the wagon, the broken wagon that's here. The planks are still firm and there's no mustiness in the air, but the vehicle needs just a push to fall to pieces, like a child's toy with nothing to keep the parts together. There are ways to construct a wagon with just wood, leather and fibre, but you find the marks of hinges, braces, nails and clams, which are now all gone. The wheels are missing their steel rims. You find only one linen bag, empty and moist. You can't estimate how deep the tracks are. The ground was hard, so the cart's weight wasn't a significant factor. Looks a bit like an ambush, doesn't it? Look at the tracks. In the trampled grass, you find 2 sets of tracks to follow. There are no hoofprints. The first set is near the destroyed wagon. The wayfarer suddenly stopped. You can see where they made a sharp turn. The second trail is close to the tree stump. Most of the marks were left by flat, cheap boots, not suitable for long walks. But someone was wearing hard, wide heels, distorting the ground. Both trails avoid the eastern wilderness. They stick to the main road and lead you north. They could have belonged to 24 people, maybe more. You follow them for a bit, but lose them once there's no more mud and tree needles to find. Have a look at the tree. The leaves are not completely dry, and when you break one of the twigs, it still contains water. There are no signs of sickness that you can recognise, and the termites and other bugs are still sparse. Beneath the trunk there's no blood, no abandoned limbs. Let's look at the stump. You don't find any marks of a maw or paws. The top is hip-high and unnaturally smooth. You could comfortably sit down on it. Have a look at the bushes. There are no berries left, only broken twigs, fallen leaves and trampled grass. You notice a pointy arrow made by a human hand, with a head made of horn and black-orange fletching. You don't know what type of bird would have such feathers. You see no arrow marks around, not even on the wagon. Look at the river. It would take only 2 steps to disappear in the deep water. The rocky bank smells fresh and is filled with the sounds of frogs, insects and birds. It's not a good spot to quench your thirst. The beds of long kelp, pulled by the flow of the river, are crowded with fish and 4-legged creatures that you don't even recognise. You keep an eye on the land. There's no carcass in sight and no sign of shells that would be left nearby. Look at the western hill. The rocky wall isn't much of a challenge. The top of the hill is covered with short grass and sparse trees. You notice a couple of bushes with a good view of the road, just next to the remains of a campfire. Charred pieces of wood, ash, bird bones, trampled grass, and a broken earthenware bottle. You follow the deepest tracks leading to the edge of the soft earth. Someone jumped down, or at least stopped stepping on the grass. Let's have a look at the road. The road here is already being overgrown, fading away, but it's in no worse shape than the other parts of the southeastern route. No alternate path is formed around the blockade. Have a quick look at the surrounding area. You walk deeper into the wilderness, searching through the shrubs and trees. You don't find any side paths, nor remains of a camp or a hamlet. The first game trail you find has been used exclusively by animals. I think I know what happened here. And what do you think has happened to the tree? I believe it was cut down to set up an ambush. Why was the wagon abandoned? I think it was attacked by highwaymen. What was originally transported on the wagon? It's impossible to tell. What happened to the owners of the wagon? I think they were taken north. You think the tree was cut down to set up an ambush. The cart, which transported unknown contents, was attacked by highwaymen. Its owners were taken north. Yeah, I think that's what happened. All the tracks, the camp and off to the side, the arrow, the chopped down tree, I think that's what happened. Well, you can't be sure of what really happened here. You don't think there's much left for you to find. Let's hope you haven't missed anything. We could travel. So, let's head north again. As long as you ride uphill, the forest is sparse. Soon after, the tree roots tear the path apart. The road is coated with branches, acorns, leaves and chestnuts, and some seedlings have already broken through the pitted surface of the road. If left undisturbed for another year or 2, the forest will reclaim this place. Finally, you ride upward again. The plants are getting smaller, the road more rocky. I sigh with relief. There's something there, I wonder what that is. Ooh, we found the 4 crossroads, so I think we found... Well, there's 4 crossroads and we found them all. South, west, north and now east. While the hills are full of life, you don't hear anything coming from the watchtower. Its upper level lacks a wooden platform from which the guards could fire their crossbows or drop stones on the opponents below. So this place was not meant to be used in combat, but rather as a shelter from claws and fangs. Such structures can be found in especially untamed parts of the Dragonwoods, used occasionally by travellers or patrolling squads. Since the end of the war, the cities can't find enough people in Dragonbones to keep them in good shape. You see no footsteps, no lights, no fresh trash or a latrine. The birds are preening their feathers on top of the tower, while the branches of nearby trees are swaying in the fierce cold wind. I could look for the tracks I saw near the fallen tree. That might be a good thing to do. The tracks lead here through the narrow gate and then west. The hard heels are especially noticeable. So I'll look at the signpost. The planks and letters are damaged by decades of rains, frosts, borers and claws. You scratch off some of the moss. There are 3 planks on the signpost, each one pointing in a different direction. The letters don't tell you anything. Remember, we can't read. The plank on the top points both south and north, but there are no pictures that would tell you anything more than that. The one beneath it points east, and there's a word written in blue paint. The arrow here looks more like a magic wand. Ooh. So that's east. I think that could possibly be the Enchantress then. The bottom plank has a picture of a tall tower surrounded by little houses and points west. The wood is covered in red paint, suggesting danger. So remember, what I think are the bandits' footsteps go west, but I wouldn't mind going to the Enchantress first, so we're going to head east, I think. I examine the campfire spot at the entrance. You see a shattered bowl, the remains of a meal from many years ago. However, the firewood and the lonely stool are not too old. You don't doubt that the watchtower seems less threatening to wayfarers than the wilderness around it, even when it's locked. Is there anything interesting in the trees? It must be a human-made copse. Only the smallest of the spruces are out of order, born of wild seeds. The largest trees are as tall as the tower itself, which surely doesn't help those who were meant to observe their surroundings. There are also some stumps, most of which used to belong to young saplings. These trees were likely meant to be sold to carpenters and coopers, but they were left alone many years ago. In the copse you find wild fennel and lettuce thriving in shadows, and there are pears and berries growing among nearby trees and shrubs. We could spend we got loads of time here, so let's spend half an hour foraging a little bit. 2 bunches of wild plants. Roach gazes at the fence while you cross the short meadows, seeking edible leaves of fennels, sorrel and the lettuce that hide in the shadows of spruce trees, forcing you to get on your knees and push the branches away. After some time, with needles in your hood and sleeves, you carry the vegetables to the gate, washing them with your water skin and spreading them on a blanket, allowing them to dry up. As you pick the very few remaining pears and berries, you notice a wide tree hollow. You take a look inside and find a stash of acorns and chestnuts, but also hazelnuts and walnuts. Sweet, more food for me. You pick out enough of the stomach-friendly nuts to satiate a day-long hunger of even a portly human. Okay, let's approach the entrance. You take a look at Roach. If necessary, it could bow its head and walk inside. This place should be a decent shelter for both of you. The planks are strong, heavy, well protected from rain and wind, and when you knock, they seem to be thick. While the door shakes at your push, it won't open. Defensive structures usually have a locking bar on the inner side, but you also see a large keyhole. You walk around the tower, making sure there are no open windows or other entrances. It doesn't look like you can get in without destroying the door, and doing so would make a potential entryway for wild creatures. I take a look through the keyhole. You kneel down and take a peek. There's nothing in the hole, but the room is dark, with tiny bits of light passing through the crevices of the windows. You see the shapes of wooden furniture, like tables, casks, and a ladder, but the only movement you notice belongs to the dust dancing in sunbeams. Okay, well, we don't want to smash down the door. It will kind of defeat the object of this watchtower, so let's go back to the crossroads. We walk to the gate. Setting up a firm wall in a place like this is a bit unusual. It goes on for no more than 40 feet until it connects with the natural rock face. Such a structure could be found near the city, acting as a checkpoint at which to stop any travellers to search through their belongings or request a fee. But in the middle of nowhere? Deer and other animals used to running here with no hindrance must have been more than annoyed. A risky investment. You touch the gate made of a high-quality wood, previously soaked in oil and now mostly wiped off. It was left open and you don't see any wooden bar that would be used to lock it. You try to move the cold planks buried in dried-out mud, but with no luck. It would require some wearying digging. Right, let's travel. And we're going to head east, which I think is possibly going to be the Enchantress's house, which is where I'd like to get to. The first part of the trail is narrow and overgrown. The steep crag in the south divides the lush forest in half. You barely recognise any shapes in the entanglement of greys, browns and greens. The northern landscape, while similarly impenetrable, is the exact opposite. The meadow turns into barren hills and mountains, barely covered by grass and bushes. Maybe the riding ibexes of the clanspeople from the growing mountains would get through such a barrier. But there are no clans here. Point at this icon to display an entire area at once. Oh, I see. It's got a bigger picture. Okay, that's cool, isn't it? So, yeah, so we can see it's a little hut. It's got what looks like a gargoyle in front. Lots of stumps around. But we'll read the text. The road leads you downhill to the edge of a lake. The clearing around the dwelling is quiet, with no crickets, flies, or even toads. The grass is not even knee-high. There are no signs of a wharf or boats. The wall wasn't coated and has already been bitten by winds and rains. I look for the entrance. Right next to the gate, a gargoyle or stone look-alike kneels on a slab. It's dark purple, almost black, with yellow pointy teeth, though its half-open mouth has no tongue, and the creature doesn't move even an inch. The eyes have been replaced by crystals, red like currant juice. I knock on the gate. Finding no knocker, use your fist. There's no response. Anyone home, I call? Your voice is welcomed by the screeching of dozens of avian throats. They take off from behind the wall, leading toward the lake. After a few breaths, the eyes of the gargoyle grow brighter.
What's with all the ape shouts? You lost?
The words are coming from the monster's mouth, though it remains still.
Stand in front of me, I want to see your mug.
The drawling voice belongs to a woman, but is lined with unnatural creaking. The eyes don't rotate nor blink.
So, who are you?
That's a bit friendly. I could just say I'm Sir Boring, the new Roadwarden.
I see.
A short pause.
I don't leave my house often, but I may have a job for a traveller. You know who I am, right?
Yeah, naturally. Whom do you call her? Oh, okay. Eudocia, I think, is the name of the... Is that it? Eudocia, the name of the Enchantress? I mean, I'm just trying to remember. I think it is. Short pause.
You're disturbing my work. It's the middle of the day and I need to stay focused.
You hear a deep, annoyed breath.
For a warden, I'll make this one exception, but next time, come in the early morning, or soon before the night. Wait where you are, we're opening the gate.
The monster's eyes darken again. Soon after, you hear heavy steps and the earth shakes. Something lifts the beam blocking the gate. You realise that your hand is already on the haft of your axe. I try to relax, I'm safe. It's her gargoyles, isn't it? We know about her gargoyles. That's what it looks like. I've just expanded the picture here to see the whole place. Quite well fortified. Okay. The gate opens violently, rebounds with a loud thud, almost closing again. The creature in front of you is made of floating rocks that appear to be connected, but it's just an illusion. They could twist and bend in every direction. The eyeless sentinel faces you blankly. You've seen other golems in Hovleven, endlessly helping with bothersome tasks, but you've no idea what makes them move. It lowers its slab-like hands and steps aside, making way for you. Its head rotates, following your steps, but other than that, it's as motionless as a statue. There it is down there. We enter the yard. The house in front of you has a huge entrance, just large enough for a golem. The building is whitewashed, but the lime is aged and damaged. The tools are spread around in no particular order. The rocks resting on top of the shed resemble the golems. The garden patches, covered with herbs and vegetables, are neglected. It's quiet here. I don't want to just wander in someone else's home. I approach the sitting golem then. It seems dead, inactive as city folk would call it, but the pneuma still makes its chunks float less than half an inch away from one another. It doesn't react to your presence. Unlike the previous golem, this one bears engraved signs on its larger rocks. The meaning is unclear to you, and you can't tell if they're a decoration or carriers of a spell. A leaf of the doors opens. I step closer. The woman is tall and stands upright with her arms crossed and legs apart. She's more than 30, with a face touched by lack of sleep. She gives you a long look, observing your blade, hands, boots, forehead, everything but your eyes.
I greet you.
Without the distortion caused by the gargoyle, her strong voice isn't as disquieting.
No surprise that it caught your eye, but don't disturb it. It's very much awoken and will defend itself. Or me, if it comes to it.
I give her a better look. She's wearing a long, ragged robe covered in stains. It used to be blue, but is now unevenly pale. She's barefoot, with skin covered with dust and dirt. Her dark hair was recently washed, but it's untidily spread on her shoulders, back and chest. She wears no jewellery, belt or buckles. We could be friendly. I don't want to be joking. I don't think she'd appreciate that. That's a bit too businesslike. I don't want to threaten her. I don't want to weep in her face. So let's go with the friendly option here. I'm glad you have a moment to spare. I won't bother you for long. She looks at the ground and drawls out her words.
I sure hope not. I'm not interested in chatter. If you need to bother me, speak in the tongue of dragons and barter. I don't serve stew. I don't offer baths. If you come here, I'd better get out from it.
She walks past you and cocks her head towards the golem who let you in. It turns around and shuts the gate.
I let you in this time, but it won't happen again, not during my work. If you ever come here in the middle of the day, you'll stand outside, looking at the doors like an ibex. We don't need more salutations, so... Her voice remains cold. Why are you here?
I was asked to deliver the writing quills to the monastery.
Then you're in luck. They're ready.
She opens one of the heavy doors to her house, and you catch a glimpse of a messy bed and a floor covered with clothes. She returns after a minute or so.
Here.
She opens a small leather case and pulls out the quills, a mix of translucent greys and whites. You step closer and reach out for them, but she keeps holding them.
Why'd you aid the monks? They're a rather grim bunch, aren't they? Some nasty rumours are in the air.
Her grasp is strong. Her eyes meet yours briefly. It's just a job. She releases the case and nods.
Fair enough. If you're looking for a job, you may want to reach creeks in the north and east. They're hunters and woodcutters and plan to reclaim the road to the far south of the peninsula. Just smile a lot and they'll let you in.
We could say that Photios has sent me to buy a spirit rock for his daughter. He hopes it's going to enhance Phoebe's pneuma.
Oh, you don't want to try that.
She grabs the ends of her hair.
It would boil her blood and rip her skin apart. Each shell is like a bottle for pneuma. It has its limits. You can train to contain more of it, like I've been doing for more than 20 years now. But there's no magical rock that's going to do it for you. But if you want, I can still sell it to you.
And we will buy that. Surely you filled some arrows with pneuma before. Any ideas where this is from? I show her the one that I found near the fallen tree.
What, are you tracing a murderer?
She smirks, but then grabs the arrow and takes a quick look.
Black and orange. I don't know much about wood, but I recognise these feathers. The people of Gale Rocks breed such pheasants.
She gives it back.
It's in the far north, close to the coast.
A few hunters recently left creeks and haven't returned. Have you met them?
Admon, yeah, he was here all right. He asked me about the lands east of the stone bridge in the north, but I couldn't help him much. Those lands are better left to...
She pauses, then waves it off. I've heard about bandits. Do they bother you? She puts her hands on her sides and straightens up, displaying her unusual height.
Is this another sick game of hers? If so, tell her I'm not interested either in her head or her offers.
You notice the sudden movement of her golem. Interesting. I bring news from the west. Old Pagos is facing a grave plague. She stands still. Come again? Well, you describe the symptoms. She starts to fidget and finally interrupts you.
Cut it! Have you heard aught about Eulalia and Irenaeus? They're about 50-55. A mason and a sculptor. Her eyes are getting bad. He has a limp.
I never entered the gate. She rubs her arms above her elbows as if to warm herself up.
If you ever ride there again... She meets your eyes. Ask around, please. I need to know.
Okay. We can ask her about Asterion, the previous Roadwarden. She raises her chin, challenging her look.
I know not where he may be, but if he wanted to be found, he'd let us find him.
She glances at the gate. Aught else? Well, let's buy something now, just in case she boots us out at some point.
Well, I'm not a trader. I do the stuff people ask me about, and they're not for sale.
She glances at the house, then towards a pocket at her hips.
There's but one tool that I'm willing to part with for 10 bones, but it's for spellcasters only.
She reaches out to you. On her open palm you see a flat, small pebble. Bluish, but in no way unusual.
You put it in your mouth and press it to your palate. No chewing, she smirks. If you're a sorcerer, it will restore your pneuma.
How many dragons do we have at the moment? 23, and she's asking for 10. Well, it could be useful. I'll take it. Here are the dragons.
Very good.
Let's trade. Oh wow, another spirit rock. Another 10. This is what I came here for. Okay, I'll buy another one. So what's your story? Why'd you live so far from any village? She looks around.
No.
No what?
I'm not here to tell you bedtime stories or to hear about your own sad life.
She lets out a long sigh, trying to limit her frustration. Back off. You ever been to the shortcut?
Only once,
she admits slowly, and it's not a good memory. Her brief tale is rather vague. She once had to use her golems to travel to the other side, seeking a remedy for her stomachache.
The beasts were afraid of the noise they make.
She points to the massive stone legs of her creations.
But the monkeys in the far west were too dumb even for that. They kept throwing things at us, even poop.
She pauses, making a disgusted grimace.
We couldn't reach them or scare them away.
You ask what happened next, but she crosses her arms.
I was told it's better to ignore them. Let them get used to one's sight. But my stomach was better already, so we just took the long way back.
I have some questions about your golems. She walks around the closest sentinel and observes it like a farmer would a donkey before a purchase.
Isn't it clear what they are? Furniture that walks and works. They carry rocks and logs, hunt, kind of, and protect this place while I rest. What else is there to say?
Did they talk? Eudocia, I did guess her name right, still moves her lips, but her words are coming from the stone creature, which doesn't move an inch.
No more than the gargoyle you've seen.
The voice is deep, distorted by an echo.
They don't need meat or bones and listen to my commands, but have no understanding of what's happening around them. To create a sentient creature, you'd need a human shell and spend a whole lot of necromancy.
The golem raises its hands and shows you its palms,
And I'm not gonna touch that!
She then mentions that her creation isn't much of a messenger. It needs to remain close to her.
Just look at it.
The golem covers its non-existent mouth.
It has no eyes, snout, ears. Seeing the world through its head is like putting your eyeball into a rose bush. It takes pneuma, and the further away it is, the more exhausting it gets.
How do you make one?
I fill each rock with pneuma, bind them together.
She pauses, then waves it off.
You won't build one anyway. Like alchemists, enchanters have their own secrets, but I've got no way of sharing my talent with others.
Is it for sale?
Oh, one day or so, I hope.
She points at a golem's hand.
One wrong order and it'll tear your head away. Or kick over a house. It won't ever be safe, but the dead make for bad customers, and I won't be blamed for other stupidity.
Her further answers come in greater detail, but they're rather complex. From what you understand, she plans to invent a set of very specific commands which could be quickly learned and then bind them to a wand, binding it to the creature.
I'm still not sure if it's the safest solution. If a wand was taken by a reaver, stuff could get ugly.
It's so loud when it walks. Don't monsters react to its presence?
She lets out a chuckle. They flee from them as they would trolls. They can't stalk their prey or jump on them from a bush, but when they don't move for long, beasts take them for rocks. It's not like they need to breathe. It just sits still, waiting for a roe deer to get close.
The golem's eyes suddenly gets brighter. It jumps forward and punches the air. It lands with the sound of thunder.
That's why I need them to be so large.
The Enchantress explains.
I can't give them muscles. The speed I give them is pure pneuma. Being firm and heavy helps.
She disregards your mention of the wrath of the herds.
True, I make more mess than most humans would, but that's one of the reasons I stay away from the villages. Being all alone, I give the beast time to get used to my walls, and my sentinels know to stay away from the unicorns and pebblers.
Let's change the topic. I saw some words on your golems. What do they mean? She looks at your right elbow.
It's an Roadwarden. Decorations.
What's with the gargoyle?
Can't an enchantress show off her trophy?
She gives you a proud smile.
My sentinels took it down years ago. The tribe of old Pagos is fond of statues, so I have my own, like in the old days, long before the monks came to the north.
Seeing your puzzled look, she twirls her hair.
A dead gargoyle on the road, or by a village gate, was meant to scare off evil spirits. I don't know about that, but its sight sure taught the local beasts who they're dealing with.
What can you tell me about enchanting? She looks at your hands and starts to twirl her hair.
Not really. I don't know how I do the stuff I do. As a kid, I put pneuma into my toys. I made an earthen sparrow fly, and my whistle gave a tune without being blown. But I practiced for years, but by doing, not by understanding.
She puts a hand on her hips and observes her clean nails.
I can't teach stuff that's in my fingers or my eyes or my breath. It's just a part of me.
Could I spend the night? Even though she drawls out her words with frustration, she speaks with ease as if she's reciting a memorized speech.
I know how harsh the woods can be, but I don't offer shelter to travellers. I don't want to look behind my shoulder for hours, or use my golems to protect you. Travel north or south, look for a tavern or an inn, you'll find a safe hearth there.
She blinks and crosses her arms.
And we're both adults. Don't tell me that I could bind you with a rope or take away your blades. The less I have to touch you, the better.
I'm looking for a job. She stands still for a moment, then cocks her head to the side.
I've got some stuff that could use another hand. You up for some danger if it comes to it?
You nod and ask what sort of creature is bothering her.
No, I meant riding and climbing. If you can do it without grabbing that axe, is fine. Now give me a moment.
She opens one of the heavy doors to her house and you catch a glimpse of a messy bed and a floor covered with clothes. We've already seen that. After a minute, she shows up with a large sack filled with rods made of smooth, clean bronze.
Here's the gist of it. I need you to get to 8 spots across the peninsula. High buildings, trees, mountainsides. I don't really travel much.
She lets out a confident chuckle.
So I can't hold your hand. I need one of them in white marshes, in the wetlands far west of here. Other than that, you need to keep your eyes open.
She takes one of the rods.
Once you reach a good spot, Place one of these as high as you can. I'll pay you in dragons, 2 for each one, but place at least 4 before you come to see me. I need as many out there as possible. So far so good. What are they for? Well, there's magic in them as you can imagine. You weigh a rod in your hand. Even though it's more than 2 feet long, it's light, empty inside. You could bend it on your knee. The bag also contains a long hemp cord and a scrap of cloth. If I were to send my golems away, let's say a mile or 2 from here, they'd stop moving at all, waiting for me to show up. She approaches the nearest sentinel and touches its chest. They carry similar rods inside, so the plan is to give my orders better range, so to speak. I'm tired of depending on hirelings, especially since they no longer stop by. She leans against the golem, her arms crossed. Questions? How much time do I have? Oh, don't worry about it. Let's say before the leaves turn yellow, so autumn. Some of the locals may not be happy with them putting rods on their rooftops. She gives you a puzzled look. Wardens to have their ways to get on people's good side, correct? We could try and get more money out of her. I may be forced to pull some strings to get it done. 2 dragon bones won't be enough. You haggle for a bit and you notice a moment of weakness. As you insist on even more, she starts to twirl her hair. Fine, 3 for each. It was over 20 in total, so show some decency and don't make me wait longer than necessary. If you do all 8 rods, I may give you aught else. We've got a deal. She avoids your eyes. Great, just don't die on the road. This bronze cost me many favours. And be sure to leave one of the rods in white marshes. Is it because of the undead? No. Why? She scratches the ground with her foot, then points at her golem. I still need to do a bit of work with the sentinels, but I hope to offer one to them, maybe in the spring. It could replace 10, 20 humans. The villagers may not have much food right now, but I know how to be patient. That's very pragmatic of you. What can I say? She brushes her long hair with her fingers. I'd rather be safe than scared. Or sacred, she says. Okay. Can you fill an item of mine with Numa? That's not how this works. She points at her golems. Her nails are short and clean and her hands are soft. I work all the time, but each item takes me days, sometimes a full season. The tribes bring me things to enchant in the early spring and collect them a year later. I've got to... She blinks a few times, not sure what to say. Her grey eyes widen. Imagine stuff. It takes great focus. You mentioned that you generously reward her, but she only shrugs. You don't plant, you don't build. I won't eat dragon bones. For now, do your warden duties and come by the end of autumn. Maybe I'll have time to get something done for you after the thaws. I'll think about it. Alright, well I think we've done as much here as we can. So we've got 9.5 hours before dusk. But also this episode is currently about an hour long, so we need to wrap things up quite quick. Let's just look at the map and then we'll plan out what we might do tomorrow. So, interestingly, I now have the spirit rocks I need to activate this beholder, I think, which should give us the cure to the plague. So, I'm inclined to do that next. It's we've got enough time to get there today, so that might be what we do next in the next episode. We could head north and maybe try and join up this path, but it's a bit of an unknown. That might be more something I do when I got a bit more time spare. Not sure. We could head west into the forest here. But that's dangerous, as we've heard. I would like to get a bit more repair done on my armour. Not sure where we might do that. We might be able to do that at the Pell to the north. So yeah, we might stop at the Pell, although it might cost us a bit of money, but probably not too much. We've got to put these rods some places as well, so that's interesting. I mean, high places, we've got... Could put it in the monk's place. White Master, she wants it done. Maybe Old Pagos. Maybe the Elder's Cave. I'm sure we'll find places. Maybe Foggy Lake, perhaps. But yeah, we'll probably do a loop of the places we've explored just to see if we can put any of these anywhere. But that's for future episodes. But next time we're going to go and try and cure the plague in the next episode, I think. So, thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Roadwarden as much as I'm enjoying playing it. If you did enjoy the video, then please do hit the like button and perhaps subscribe to the channel as well if you've not done so already. That would be amazing. And in the meantime, I'll see you again. Bye for now.